Hi, everyone. I'm Alexis Mychajliw. I'm an assistant professor at Middlebury College in Vermont, and I'm also here with Cosplay for Science. And I'm also Zelda, and we're going to break canon a little bit because Link will actually speak. But I just actually came back from a week of fieldwork, and so I'm going to try and tie some of the themes from Breath of the Wild into the fieldwork that I just did. What I really love about the Zelda games is that as a scientist, I love exploring and adventuring and following my curiosity. And it's not just to me about coming up with a hypothesis, going out and testing it. That's part of it. But I like to see what's out there. And I feel like that is very much the vibe of these games and just following what your instinct is telling you to look for. So when I'm in the field, some of my favorite things in the world are trying to find tar pits in the wild or asphalt seeps. So I used to be a postdoc at La Brea Tar Pits. We went to a bunch of different tar pit sites around Southern California to look for fossils that can help us better understand how animals respond to climate change in Southern California. So a tar pit is, in many cases, a lot like that goo or malice that you find when you're wandering around Hyrule. I also got to climb around a bunch of rocks trying to find ancient rodent nests, which contain plants that can tell us about what the world used to look like up until about 50,000 years ago. And I did that with colleagues at the Nature Conservancy to try to help them decide what plants we should be looking for in a future of climate change. And while I was there, even though I'm not a plant biologist, I just had to go hug the 560-year-old blue oak, which to me felt very much like standing in awe of the great Deku tree. And lastly, I can't talk about Southern California and Legend of Zelda without mentioning the Leviathans and the fact that it's so cool to know that almost everywhere you go in LA, either you find a tar pit or there might be fossil whales right below your feet. So using these lessons from the past can really help us understand how we got to today and how we can make choices about what world we want to see in the future. So I'll turn it over to Link.
Thank you, Zelda. Hi, everyone. My name is Andrew Swafford. I'm also at Middlebury College and with Cosplay for Science. I use the present and clues in the present to understand what has occurred in the past. Very specifically, if you guys have played Breath of the Wild, and you finally get the radar update for your Sheikah slate, this is like having a radar update for everything in the world, every biological organism. And that technique that I use is called environmental DNA sequencing. This lets us pick up soil and water and then sequence the DNA that organisms that have been there have left behind. And from that, we can build a profile of rare creatures that are too hard to find, or creatures that are too small to see and are constantly hiding out of sight. So the things that I have chosen as examples are my study species on the far left. That's a fungal spore, which is microscopic. A few of you have heard about these. Those are the Koroks because they are so hard to find in the wild, but when you filter water, they're in every water source. So much like the Koroks, hidden from the naked eye, but they're friggin' everywhere. And then in the middle, mushrooms, obviously they're these sort of ephemeral organisms that pop up and then die, but they're always under the soil. And then also, we can use it for monitoring rare or endangered species that are getting harder to find or are already hard to find, like the yellow-legged mountain frog. And then lastly, much like the sort of like finding a tear, which in Tears of the Kingdom, which like gives you the story of the past. That's really what it feels like when you push an eDNA sample through sequencing, because all of a sudden you know exactly who has been there, what's been going on in the environment, and it all becomes clear, and you can build this really interesting story and tie it to biodiversity in the present based on what's been there in the past. Thank you. I know we're the last talk, but if you're excited about any of this stuff, please come talk to us.
All right, thank you. All right, thanks everyone for coming out to the Mixer for Science-Minded Geeks. We really appreciate having you, proving our point that people here at Comic-Con want to talk about science and geek out even more. So thanks for being here. Have a great rest of your con, and thank you to the room staff for giving us 5 extra minutes.